everyone. Welcome to Pouring Takes. I'm Charlie Van.
And I am Rayya. This is Pouring Takes, where you get to go on journeys with me and Charlie when we talk about Dallas sports and what's going on in our lives while sipping really fancy cocktails.
Because we really do know these fancy cocktails being Dallas sports fans. So.
Yes, I mean, you need them. That's what I've been saying. Be sure to check our website, pouringtakes.com. You'll get linked up to all of our socials, including now we're on Spotify. So go ahead. Subscribe to all of our channels. Engage with us on our Discord server. We would love to hear from you. Tell me what I need to be drinking since, like I said, another Sunday with no Cowboys football. But on the plus side, look at this pretty space we're in.
It is very beautiful. We're here at Mina in the Village in Dallas, my backyard where I live. And it's nice to have a place like this that you can just like walk to. And you wonder why, because we're drinking really strong margarita drinks, by the way. You have the, I think it's the Tequero
Mucho.
There you go. And then I have the Monada. Let me look
the
at
Mana de Lobo?
Yes, and that was the...
the hand of the wolf?
Yes, you're teaching me like...
I'm trying to teach you Spanish.
I know.
You try to get some culture here.
They're both really... You said yours is like a party?
Yeah, so mine tastes like... Here, it's really pretty. It's this like rose-colored cocktail. It tastes like a party in Tulum where it's refreshing, but you're definitely going to make some mistakes.
That's why it's good to be able to walk home from here.
Yeah.
Mine has Knob Creek, which I love that whiskey, and mezcal. Those together are a reason why walking home is very, probably the best. Or Lyft or Uber, by the way. But this is a fun place. Thursday, right now, tonight actually, we're here Monday night, there's a band playing, but
Yep.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, if you want to get your salsa moves on, they do have live DJ and salsa dancing going on, but the food's great. Everyone here is wonderful, so it's a whole fun vibe.
Do you get into shenanigans here? Is that why they were like, oh, we love this guy? Let him do his podcast here.
No comment. There's no videos, so it's fine.
No video that you know of.
Yeah, that I know of. But yes, definitely stop by here, Mina. It's so beautiful, as you can see, and we definitely appreciate you guys for having us here. So, Rayya, how was your week? Cheers.
Cheers. Well, it was another week. Can you believe February is literally like 3 days away? Lots going on. This past weekend was crazy between the playoff games, Royal Rumble, all things Mavs and Stars. What about you? What have you been up to?
Man, this week I had a homebrew. I'm part of a homebrew club.
That's
so
right.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of like it's a fun because I love like the whole craft beer as much as I love a good cocktail. But we just meet up. We bring in different. Sometimes people brew. So
do you brew?
I do. I need to. People always ask me, "Have you brewed yet?" I need to. That is my 2024 New Year's resolution.
Oh, okay.
If you're gonna be a part of something like that, it's fun though. It's just. It's fun to see what people can make. Like, it's like chemistry, it's like science. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like baking or cooking. Yeah, okay.
So pretty much that, just watching movies, kind of catching up on that. I mean, without the Cowboys and stuff, and I don't know what to do.
Don't say it like that, because there's plenty of stuff going on in the sports world, plenty for us to enjoy as just spectators with no anxiety, which is the best.
Which I kind of prefer that, although I would love to see them one day.
Okay, yes, obviously. But here's the case. We got the Final Four was Baltimore and Kansas City, and then you had Detroit and San Francisco on the other side. Both games really competitive, as Championship Sunday should be, right?
Yeah, I mean, usually around these conference games, I mean, the stakes, of course, are very high, but sometimes you usually see just a straight game of just domination and one that's really close. There was both excitement in both these games. I'm glad that I didn't have a team in this one. I was sitting here in the Village at Over-Under, which will be next week. Watching with fans of all these teams, and I could not imagine, but it was fun for us.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was at a couple different places in Addison, just like rotating through all the games and finally getting home for the end of the Detroit and San Fran game. So let's get into it. Let's start on the AFC side. Tell me what you saw. What was something that really stood out to you?
Man, I will say this. Mahomes and you see a lot of the chatter and seeing him already as the GOAT. I mean, what he's been able to do and really help turn this team around that we're like, oh, this is the worst we've seen from the Chiefs. And to get in these playoff games and elevate, and he went the extra gear against a team that was touted as the favorite to win it all.
That was Baltimore's best chance
to
beat them. Definitely.
And then Travis Kelce, phenomenal. I mean, there were some crazy passes.
Yeah.
They have that Brady Gronk, and it's so much fun. Obviously, Pacheco, I mean, he just is on a whole different level. But yeah, I mean, but I will say this, even though the Ravens lost, Zay Flowers' ceiling is high. I know that fumble in the end zone.
Oh, we're going to get to Zay. We are going to get to Zay.
But I will say I'm excited to watch him. That was out of that game that I'm
I'm going to agree with you. It's kind of like what I said in last week's episode. I said Kansas City has enough experience in the playoffs and enough maturity to be able to, as a team, not just Patrick Mahomes, as a team, turn it on and take it to the next level. That defense guarding all of those Baltimore wide receivers, watching over Lamar Jackson, that's not an easy task.
Yeah.
But they, for the most part, were able to keep it all controlled so that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce could run away with it. Also, shout out Rashee Rice, SMU, fantastic wide receiver, absolutely showing up when it matters most. And I keep saying it, I think he's going to be an absolute star. But maybe I'm just biased because pony up, bitches.
Could he be that? Because I was talking to someone yesterday. It's like, obviously you have Mahomes and Kelce are like Brady Gronk, but could he be their Edelman?
Yeah, but he's so big and strong.
But that extra
he's
receiver.
He's not as slotty.
Well, and that's the thing. Pat's never really had those, outside of Randy Moss, like a really big guy. They always had kind of Danny Amendola, but Edelman was that receiving piece outside of
the consistent
Gronk.
one that was around for a while. Yeah, I see what you're drawing the parallel to, but I'm hoping he's more of a Randy Moss than a Julian
No, that would be
Edelman,
good.
From like a skill standpoint.
Regardless, they find a way every year. And that's kind of what we used to say about the Patriots.
Yeah.
You can't count out that team, and just how they drive the ball down the field is amazing.
All right, so you brought him up earlier, Zay Flowers. Do you put them losing the game on poor baby Zay Flowers?
Well, I mean, that wasn't good. But also the 2 turnovers from Lamar, too. And at the end there, that last minute, that dagger right there. You still have a chance right there. That did suck, but I think...
Can you explain what you mean by the last dagger? Which player are you referring to?
Lamar. Lamar's pick right there in the zone. Like, he had that one chance to kind of get back into it. And this is where, if you put a pressure on Dak, you put a pressure on Tua, even Allen, that's where you got to make those moves. And
do you know what the guys at the bar were saying to me about Lamar? They said Lamar is a more talented Dak Prescott. What do you think?
I think I see the mobile comparisons, but I mean, here's the thing.
Sorry, more athletic Dak Prescott, not more talented. My bad.
I don't know. They both run very well. Obviously, Lamar's got, I think, a couple years younger than Dak. I think maybe. Obviously he didn't have a bad ankle injury, but I think they're
Lamar's
both very
had his
much.
He's had knee issues.
But I mean, I feel like there's comparison. I think you're always going to separate Lamar because he doesn't have the star on his helmet. Everybody's going to get separated. I think and they both carry the same woes of can they do it. One thing I will give Lamar is at least now he got to the AFC Championship.
Yes.
So that's a step above, unfortunately.
So I do give a good chunk of blame to Zay Flowers, and I feel awful doing this. He's a rookie. He's young. It's his first playoff run. And it's not even the fumble for me. For me, it was that taunting call that sent me over the edge. You cannot be in such a high-profile, high-importance game and lose your cool like that. And I know you've got OBJ on that team who was probably like, oh, my God, this is just a younger version of me. I need to fix this right now. But, like, in those situations, the more level-headed and calm teams will prevail. And I honestly, I think Kansas City got in their heads early. I mean, you saw that clip of Travis Kelce messing with Justin Tucker, moving the ball away during pregame warmups and all of that. Travis Kelce talking his talk. And I think you could even see it on, like, the body language of both sides. You look at the tunnel walkouts. Ravens, yes, they're at home. Yes, they got Ray Lewis pumping up the crowd. It's like their best day ever. But those guys looked nervous to me, whereas Kansas City had the swagger of, we've been here before. We know what to expect. We know what it takes to win. So, I mean, for me, just from the jump, I was like, all right, I'm already starting to see the separation before this game even kicks off.
Here's my only thing with that. I saw Burrow tweeted, let them taunt, because, like, we come from the fans of, fighting, and it's just the emotions are high. It's a contact sport. You're going to get in the face. I think, and if this was the 90s, it wouldn't even been an issue. I do agree there was a separation. The reason why I'm not giving him a full pass, I think he looked the most confident on the Ravens team that day for a rookie. And so that's why I say his ceiling's high. I'm sure he's beating himself up, and he looked,
definitely, poor baby. Like, that's why I feel so guilty, because he's literally
But that
a
was
baby.
that inexperience, all of that. Even the time, he's going to learn, he's going to learn from, like, hey, you got to play the game. And playing the game is not just scoring touchdowns, it's playing the system and playing the rules, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
And his emotions got high. He's the biggest game of his life.
I agree. I feel like they call things way too tightly, but in certain situations, you just have to keep the level head. And unfortunately, it was Kansas City's day and not Baltimore's, and that's totally fine. But going into Super Bowl Sunday, one thing from this game and previous Kansas City Chiefs games that I'm noticing as a pattern is the Kansas City offense seems to just do really well in the first half and kind of, I don't want to say coast, but maybe like defenses figure them out in the second half. But what I'm trying to get at is they don't score a lot of points in the second half. And I feel like, at this point I'm thinking, all right, if they're playing Detroit or San Francisco, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's going to be because we'll break down here just in a second the Niners and how they adjusted so well in that game. But yeah, I mean, they do kind of slow down, but I also feel like teams just make mistakes against them. We saw that with the Eagles, that second half. The Eagles just made mistakes all over in that last year's Super Bowl.
Eagles.
Well, but I mean, same with the Niners back in 20. I feel like the Chiefs have created this aura in the postseason. It doesn't matter what you do in the regular season. Just get them there, and it's just like mentally you're just fumbling around. You're doing something you wouldn't
I see what you did there, Drake.
Oh, yeah, that is true. Anytime there's a pun, I can't help myself. But yeah, I mean, I feel like though it's hard to count this, team because yes, they may start slow, but other teams just start dropping ball, which the Ravens completely did.
Yeah, I'm just saying. And we're gonna get more into this next week on our Super Bowl episode. I'm just saying, Kansas City needs to just be careful about how they do their second half. That's it. Any other takeaways from this AFC Championship game before we move on?
It was good to see Mark Andrews back, but you could tell what a game to try to dust off the rust. And there was a couple of drops he would have never dropped, and that's not darn. It's just you could tell. But I'm glad to see him back. But no, I mean, just overall, the Chiefs.
Chiefs are just too good. What happens to Baltimore from here?
Well, they got a good, talented team, and we've been mentioning Flowers over and over, and we'll see what they're doing at the running back. I know Dobbs is a free agent. I know they just signed Cook, but what are they going to do there? As long as Lamar stays healthy, the team always can be in the mix. That's always been the knock. I know they're kicking themselves. John Harbaugh's the best. I mean, he's the longest tenure right now.
I agree with you. Except just remember, Joey Burrow is in that division. Deshaun Watson is in that division.
But Joey Burrow can't stay healthy.
I get that, but I'm just saying the AFC North is one of the most competitive divisions, and this was probably Baltimore's best shot to go all the way.
Yeah,
I mean, calling it like I see it.
I can see that. It also we're looking at the Steelers of just because we don't know what they're doing at QB too.
I ain't worried about the Steelers right now.
You're not worried about that?
I'm just thinking about Cincinnati and Cleveland, because Cleveland came on really strong. Cleveland had Joe Flacco come off the couch, and they could have made a playoff run with that man.
Well, we saw how that first round went.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Lamar is still Lamar. I do agree with Burrow if he can. I just don't know. Every year I can give you every stat. First year torn ACL. 2021 is the only time that he stayed. After that, he's been just hurt until I can see him. I know that Lamar has the same knock. Those are guys neck and neck, but I think Lamar, when it comes to that athleticism, can push. And I don't know what else we're going to see with T. Higgins, Jamar Chase.
Yeah, there's lots of moving parts. I totally agree. But yeah, as if you've been with the show as long as we've been with the show, you will know the AFC North is probably my favorite division outside of the NFC.
It is fun. I want to see it at full health.
Yes.
That was the big thing. And I love Burrows.
We don't live in a
I'm a
perfect
cigar
world,
guy.
Charlie Van.
I know. Well, we know all about injuries in this town. So.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the NFC. So you had San Francisco 49ers and the Detroit Lions squaring off in, where are they, Santa Clara now?
Yes.
I almost called it Candlestick Park. It is
Candlestick.
not. It is Levi Stadium.
They're hold on.
Tell me one of your observations from that matchup.
Man, I'll tell you what, the term gritty for Lions makes all this sense. I mean, they came out and they punched the Niners. Definitely, we're talking about
right in the mouth. Yeah,
they threw haymakers.
absolutely.
I was just thinking about Dan Campbell's speech when he first, then we're going to buy a kneecap.
Kneecaps.
We're going to need, I mean, I was like, because I'm sitting there with friends that are Lions fans, friends that are Niners fans, and just going, the jaw and back between us.
Oh, how is Danny?
Man, he's hanging in there. He's doing all right. I mean, I think if you're a Lions fan today, it definitely sucks, but you definitely exceeded expectations.
All of America was rooting for them, too.
But, man, the way that they came out and were able to smack, the thing is, you know, like, I feel like there was just the game planning in the end.
Yeah, I'm going to air you out because you did this, and I don't know if it was the cocktails or whatever we were doing that day, but Charlie was ready to roll over at halftime and be like, Detroit's going to the Super Bowl.
Hell yeah, that's fine.
And I just was like,
Charlie's
okay,
fine being wrong. I think there was quite a bit of like, what's going on here. And because here's the thing, you look at that Green Bay game going back that we talked about, they were able to control a good portion of that game and then let
But what happened?
Niners,
What happened?
They let the door open. You can't let the door open. But the adjustments, the Niners adjustments.
Was it the Niners adjustments or was it the close calls that Dan Campbell was making?
I think it could be a little bit of both. I really do, because you still got to adjust and you still got to perform. You still got to execute too. If obviously he made that blunder again, we saw that with Dallas, but Dallas still
made the blunder 3 times.
Yeah, and guess what? He did in the Dallas, but we did have to adjust to make that. If we don't show up and we don't execute,
Agreed.
It doesn't matter.
Agreed. But like,
he's gutsy.
It's gutsy, but do you put the loss on Dan Campbell?
No, I think you have to, but just like the Dallas loss, you know, you just kick the field goal, you're right there, and he won't apologize about it.
He shouldn't.
That's who he is.
We got into it as a group that I was watching with about Dan Campbell. Which one was it? I think it was like the first opportunity where at the end of right before halftime, where he decided to kick the field goal and not go for it. I really thought at that point he was going to go for it. I think they were up like either 14-7 or 21-7 at that point. And I was like, you're at the 4 or 5 yard line. A half's almost over. San Fran's getting the ball first. What do you have to lose in that situation? And that's the one where he didn't go for it. And then I felt like he spent the rest of the game like overcompensating, thinking, shit, I should have gone for it at that point. And then he chose like the most inopportune moments, or like, I don't know how to describe it, because being like an analytics person, my brain was always going to say go for it. And Steven kept telling me, Rayya, this isn't Madden. Like, you can't just go for it every time. Like, you need to be a little bit more logical.
Yeah, I mean...
I don't like it when people tell me to be more logical, by the way.
Well, here's the thing. I think with Dan, no matter what, like, I don't know that you can break that out of his character, and that's something, like, that's just who he is, and that's a second time we've seen where he has gambled, and he's going to fall on that sword. It sucks because, man, the Lions had such a credible game for the most. Their future definitely is really...
How
right
about that
there.
NFC North? When you look at Detroit,
Packers,
Green Bay, Minnesota can easily be back in the mix.
And the Bears, depending on what they're going to do.
Oh, Bears got a lot of moves to make, but yeah, they could be a threat easily in the next 2-3 years as well.
It could be the number one, because the NFC West it's the Niners, right?
Right.
You know, us for now, it's us and Eagles. South is, depending on what Atlanta does, but for the most part, the North looks the most stacked. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited. I mean,
we the North.
For your takeaway in this game, let's go on the Niners side. What concerns you with them moving forward, but what did you also like that gives, if you were like, say, a Niners, that gives you hope?
All right, so I'm going to go reverse. I'm going to take it the other way. The positive I saw out of San Francisco is, this whole time I'm saying Brock Purdy is a game manager. He doesn't need to be special. He just needs to get the ball to his playmakers. And he did that. In the second half, he did that. The difference I saw in Brock Purdy in this game versus other games is that man used his legs. Mm-hmm. He scrambled. He ran 20 yards at a time to get first downs and more. I didn't even know he was capable of doing that. I didn't know that was like in his scouting report. Like, I was not aware. Did you know that?
I saw at Iowa State, he can scramble. Not like that, but he was a scramble out of the pocket.
But that's what really, for me, that's what drove the comeback. Yeah. It was like, all right, I'm going to literally put my body on the line to get these first downs, to sustain these drives, and then I'm going to look for Brandon Ayuk, and then Christian McCaffrey, and then Debo. Debo was pretty much a non-factor in the first half, which made me think he was more injured than he really was. joke's on me, got that one wrong too. But all of those playmakers really showed up in the second half, and I think it was as a result of Brock Purdy pushing himself to the next level.
It's almost like he's been reading the Twitter all week, or X or whatever, and seeing what every analyst
It's X, formerly known as Twitter.
But seeing him known as a game manager and stuff, I mean, he was a game changer in that, and especially going to that second half, because that's the question. Can he play from behind? Can he really play? Well,
all he's been doing is playing from behind. Ew, that was a sex joke. Sorry.
But in the biggest moment, you got to drink. You got to drink. You got to. It's that party drink. There you go. Well, yes, he has come from behind, but this is the biggest moment. Obviously, we didn't get to see him play in it last year because he got hurt. Barely, like 2 seconds.
Right.
But I mean, I think that pressure needs to be taken off. He showed up. He did well. He adapted, like you said, ran.
So
happy for him.
I'm going to say on the other side of the coin with like what I'm nervous about for San Fran is you look at that D-line and you're like, wow, they are so stacked. Did I hear the name Randy Gregory?
Yeah.
I had no idea he was on that team. Did you know?
Uh-huh. Yeah, he's traveled around. He went
I know
from
he's
Denver.
traveled around, but I didn't realize he was picked up. Like in my head, when you say 49ers D-line, I think Nick Bosa, the most attractive D-line man in the world, by the way.
Right around Chase Young. I think he just kind of slid under the radar because you just don't think. You're like Chase because they needed. Well, I mean, I felt like they needed him, and that was a great pickup. But you just don't hear him talk. We got Fred Warner on your defense.
I love Fred
Nobody
Warner.
talks about that. So.
But as high-powered as those names are, these slow starts are kind of scary. And now we're thinking, all right, you're about to go up against Patrick Mahomes.
It was a really good run game.
Great run game, great first half team, as stated before. Is the defense going to let that big lead in the first half develop, or are they going to be able to make the adjustment over the next 2 weeks and maybe they punch Patrick Mahomes in the mouth? We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be that adjustment because Mahomes he's not Goff. And that's not a knock on Goff, but let's say it. Mahomes is that guy we keep saying you cannot let in the game.
Yeah, Mahomes isn't Jared Goff. He's not Jordan Love.
Yeah.
But, we saw San Fran struggle with, was it DTR?
Yeah.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson, is that his name? Yeah. And some other guys. So we're going to really find out a lot next week, and I'm really stoked. Our Super Bowl episode is probably going to be our most fun episode next week. We're going to be at over-under probably around this time next Monday, 7 o'clock. We're going to break down all things Kansas City, all things San
Francisco 49ers. We wanted to say the Lions.
I didn't want to say the Lions.
The
as well
Cowboys
as,
of the North.
we're going to talk about Taylor Swift. We're going to get into all of that. We're going to look at some prop bets. We're going to put some shots on the line, and we're going to have a really good time. So be sure to tune in next week when we get into Super Bowl madness.
Oh. I'm ready.
And we can talk about your birthday plans, too.
Ooh.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
More shots.
Charlie's got a birthday coming up. Okay. So, staying in the football realm. Any Cowboys news we need to address? I know there was a little rumor out there.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything but that rumor. Dan Quinn's still interviewing, with the Commanders and Seattle. So I know he just had like a second interview with, I think with both. So
yes, he did.
I'm not sure what's taking long on. Everybody else has been spoken for as far as the teams that need head coaches.
Yeah.
That really does lead me to believe he's landed somewhere. So the rumor is, if he does, Ron Rivera could be a potential candidate for defensive coordinator.
All right, well, I'm going to leave all of y'all on a cliffhanger about what I think about that. Once the news
Once we know.
once things look a little more sturdy, then we'll jump into our analysis on coaching. But another team whose coaching staff is set for next season is our lovely rivals, the Philadelphia Eagles, picking up a new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, can't say it with a straight face, and a defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio from the Miami Dolphins. Both these moves were really interesting to me, so I kind of want to get into it, get your take on it, because you know how I feel about Kellen Moore. Again, if you were with us last year.
Your favorite coordinator.
That pumpkin spice latte basic bitch of a man is now the offensive coordinator in Philly. How do you feel? Everyone knows how I feel. How do you feel?
Thank you, Philly. I think they're gonna be. Can he come back? Yeah, I mean, because talk about a guy who just gets wild too, and just gambles and does flashy stuff. It's Kellen Moore. We saw that obviously here.
Okay, is it flashy if it's predictable?
Still looks flashy. Still has some paint on it. I mean,
you know what Kellen Moore is? He's like one of those shoes that lights up when you walk.
Yeah.
You know it's fancy. You know it looks cool, but you also know it's happening.
Exactly. So yeah, you can be predictable and flashy, but he's never adapted into into his schemes, and we saw that even with Justin Herbert, which I was wondering what was going to happen there. Not a whole lot.
Did Kellen Moore break Justin Herbert?
No, I think Bradley Stanley. I think the pressure of being Justin Herbert did. You know, we're pumping him up like he is Mahomes, and he hasn't done any. If you talk to any of the analysts, he's still a guy that's top 5. But where's the accolades?
Now here's a guy. Just kidding. Drink.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, he is a guy. Let's talk about Justin Herbert now.
Yeah, I love this move as a Dallas Cowboys fan. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how much of the stuff he took with Dak he's going to translate to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, also someone who I believe is a game manager with a little bit of flair. I think Dak Prescott's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts has had better teammates, essentially, that have taken him further. So I'm very curious to see how that goes out. I know there's a lot of, unhappiness with A.J. Brown and some of the other wide receivers. I think there's going to be a lot of other, obviously, offseason moves made, but I just don't see this going well for Kellen Moore.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those, can he gain the faith in an already shaken locker room?
Do you think they're excited? We brought in Kellen Moore.
Yeah, I think they're I think they're hoping that there's a little secret of hey, but here's the thing, there's nothing new that he's gonna bring.
No.
And I've always seen I do agree with the Dak slightly better, but if you want to compare them to in kind of styles, you can. Jalen might have that younger style, but Kellen Moore's style is not going to work for Hurts.
I think not younger. I think the word you're looking for is explosive.
Oh, explosive, yeah. But I mean, I feel let's be honest. Before Hurts, Dak was that style, that only style in that division.
Right.
Kellen didn't do anything to elevate that, and so I don't know what he can get out of Hurts that he didn't already try with Dak.
Okay. What I would love to see, I actually want Hard Knocks to go to Philly in the offseason, I think, or the preseason and spring training. I want to see if Kellen Moore can really grab those guys' attention and being all right, here's our offense, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to make y'all look great.
Yeah.
And I want to see if Philly buys in, because if they don't buy in, great TV, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, they need something. And of course, on the other coin, Vic obviously got that. I will say, did get that Dolphins defense a lot. So changed it around. Well, I'll just say,
I'll let you go.
At the beginning, it seemed like they were going to be one of the top 5 at least. What do you say, top 3, top 5?
Oh yeah, easily should have been a top 5 defense.
But then an unraveling started happening.
So from what I hear, is he lost that locker room.
Yeah.
I think he's the equivalent to Kellen Moore on the defensive side. He's very basic. He doesn't like change. He doesn't like the idea of his best corner shadowing a best wide receiver. You're going to play your zone and you're going to stay in your zone. And if you don't like it, go to hell. And the other thing that he does that I don't like is he doesn't like playing young guys. Very Rick Carlisle, if you will. So there was a corner drafted, I want to say it was the second round, because Miami didn't have a first round pick last draft. So it was a second or third round corner that was drafted, did not dress for a single game. How are you going to be drafted that high and put on the bench? The team invested money in that player for a high draft pick, and you're not going to play him? That's wild to me.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of their back end decisions were rough, and then really that Titans game, I was like, oh, that's what gave me confidence when the Cowboys played. Then I was like, ooh, if the Titans could do this to them, Just saw those holes. I know they had injuries here and there, but you're right. Like, I don't think there was anything that he could have made spicy.
He didn't make anything spicy, and he lost the locker room in Miami. So again, that Philly defense, not the greatest, as we learned.
I'll say this: I don't envy either one because Philly is quick to rip the Band-Aid off.
Absolutely. Again, another reason why I'm petitioning for the Eagles to be featured on Hard Knocks next season.
But hey, more power. It's good for us, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly why we are talking about it. All right. Okay, so moving on. Mavs and Stars. We got All-Star games coming up. Jake Ottinger made it to the NHL All-Star game for the Dallas Stars, and Luka Doncic, another starting appearance in the All-Star game coming up in February in a couple weeks.
He can change 77 to 73. His old 73 point. I don't even have any more drink left, so So what a start. No matter what, obviously has his fault, but that game, what a incredible.
Yeah, it was against.
It was against
Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta, because they had just come off that loss that talk about like blowing things, against Phoenix Suns. They had a 20-point lead, blowing that. So he played mad.
Yeah, big mad. And then I actually watched their game against Sacramento on Saturday night. They were able to get within 3 and then ended up losing by 5. But, it was a back-to-back.
Yeah, that's got to be exhausting. I love Josh Green's comment. He was like, it was like watching a 2K NBA game. Whoever was playing Luka did a good job. Because you could see them on the court just be like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's mesmerizing. They said that Luka was the first player to score that many points since Kobe Bryant scored 81. And to do it on the death anniversary of Kobe, or around the time I should say, is a crazy coincidence.
Kind of took him under his wing when he came in the league, just as like a mentor.
Yeah, he was a mentor to Luka for sure.
Yeah, it's great to see. Like I don't scoff my nose at what happened Saturday. They do play tonight against the Magic. So we'll see what happens.
Coach
there.
Mosley's in town.
I know, love Coach Mosley, but no, I'm excited. Kyrie still hurt, injured again. So I'm not sure. This has been such an emotional roller coaster. How do you feel, though, real quick, about Jason Kidd's comment after Wednesday, how I'm just, pretty much watching, because that's the opposite of what you want to hear any coach to say, because I think there is even with the Cowboys, a lack of discipline. And
do I need to replay my rant from last Monday?
Again, just
on, like I said, a good coach pushes his players over the edge. You have to get in their faces. You have to be an active person in their lives to make them better. If you're already in the pro level, great, congratulations. So is everybody else. But what coach is going to bring the best out of you and put you in those challenging situations for you and your team to elevate?
And you got to take the friendship right out of it. And I know
players coach.
Yeah, and
vomit. And I hate that
expression. And I know that's what Cuban he wanted, the national. But here's the thing, this team, there's been so many moments, especially Wednesday, where it's where's the discipline? And for those that do fault Luka, because at times he can be over emotional, that's when you need. Carlisle wouldn't have done that. Carlisle's in your face. Popovich, all these guys.
That's what makes them great. Greg Popovich is by far one of my favorite coaches to watch, and you grew up in Dallas and you hate the Spurs, but you hate the Spurs because Greg Popovich is so effing good.
He's a general.
I got a story about Coach Popovich if we have time.
Oh, yeah.
So when I was in college, my family was living in San Antonio. And my dad had season tickets through work to all the Spurs games. So I was always, every time I went home during the breaks, I was always going to Spurs games. And my dad told me a story. He was at a Chipotle near the stadium or something, or near the practice facility. And one of the players, it wasn't one of the players, it was someone in the front office dinged his car, the minorest thing, backed into him, just wasn't watching where he was going. I can't fully remember what the situation was. And he said that guy found him and apologized, and he was like, hey, I work for the Spurs, let me take care of this, here's all my insurance information, let me get you to a game. It's not just the players that hold that standard, it's that entire organization, and it all comes from Greg Popovich.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? Could you imagine someone in Dallas in that same situation? Do you think they would act the same way? I don't think so.
Yeah, I just think it's that, and that goes to that old school coaching. The great John Wooden was like that. It's all about holding up to a high standard and excellence and being people of principle. And I think that old school coaching style, I'm glad it's not gone away from some of these coaches, especially him. And that's why we need more Greg Popoviches. We need that right now here, especially with a lot of these young guys. There's that emotion gets high, whatever, it happens. That's why you need a coach that's like,
yeah, they need to stop
level
babying.
you.
They need to stop babying Luka. My argument for Micah Parsons translates directly to Luka. Luka is a generational talent.
Yeah.
Luka's been playing pro ball since he was 15 years old. My question is, so what? What else can you do, Luka? Luka, I get that you can score 73, but guess what? They only won that game by 5 points. If Luka's going to score 73 in one night, we should be blowing out teams by 20, honestly.
Yeah.
With the team we have.
Yeah. I mean, and then those rants and then all that, the pounding, it doesn't look good for the face of the organization. And
don't get me wrong, I love Luka. I have a pair of Luka knee socks that I wear all the time.
And and we treat him like he's dirt, like he was in his
But
30s. He's 24, and
He's a
that's
child.
even more like
And
we
that's
need
more
to
of a
help him. But there are other guys too to hold accountable on that team as well. And again,
Dwight Powell, go back to Canada.
Well, I feel like they just all kind of also just sit back and
Let it happen.
Yeah, let it happen. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens there, but it's just been emotional seeing
Well,
that
we're getting into that nitty-gritty part of the season. We're about to hit All-Star break. This is the time. I believe we're sitting at 8th. So we're basically either going to go to the playoffs straight up, or we're going to end up being a play-in team.
Yeah.
I don't love the idea of being a play-in team, but maybe that's what this team needs for a reality check. But there is a lot of competition in the West, but we will get into that
Once we're there.
another day. One more thing from this weekend that I know you're dying to talk about.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just watched my first Royal Rumble.
Oh, welcome. Cheers. Cheers. It is quite the experience. And
yeah, there's nothing
entertainment.
like that in sports or entertainment.
Well, you also never know what celebrity.
Can you explain how the Royal Rumble works
Yes.
before we get too far into this?
So, well, now there's 2 Royal Rumbles. There's the men's and the women's matches. So it's 30 participants enter, 1 leaves, gets the ultimate golden ticket to WrestleMania. How you win it, it's no pinfalls. You have to throw the other person over the rope. They have to feet touch. Back in the day, there were some controversial storylines and stuff of people's feet touching and they got back in. But
So do they put all 30 at the same time?
no, so you got 1 through 30. So, and actually, you would see a lot more celebrities, like Drew Carey was in it one time. So you just never know. Shaq was in it, I think, one time. But yeah, it starts off number 1 and
Every
then all the
90
way,
seconds,
Every
yeah?
90 seconds. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It was very unexpected. And we went to a watch party for it, and there was a game going on in the background. So you bought a spot. So each spot was $10. And then your name was entered in a raffle. And so when it was your turn to pick, you picked from the little turntable thingy, and on it was a number, and that number corresponded to the wrestler coming in. So with the women, I pulled 19 and I got Nia Jax.
Oh, there you go.
And I actually won because she had the most eliminations. So that was, I won most eliminations, which was really cool for the women. And then for the guys, I got royally screwed over, but I'm okay with it. I drew 22, which was Pat McAfee.
Okay, that was, so by the way, apparently he did not know because he's helped commentating, Pat McAfee, huge sports personality.
He's my favorite.
Well, he's a former SmackDown announcer too, and he's sitting there at his music. He apparently did not know he was going to be entered, so he jumps in and he jumps out.
I know, I wish they would have, romantic lighting.
Oh yeah, as we are.
I wish he would have eliminated himself sooner, so I could have won fastest elimination.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I won't hold any hard feelings against him. He's one of my favorite sports personalities out there right now. I literally watch the show every day.
Oh, he's great. He's what can he not do? I mean,
Right.
so athletic. But yes, so as going to the as far as the women's Royal Rumble, which kicked off.
Did you have a sense of who you thought was going to win going in?
Oh yeah. I knew Bayley was going to win. I think that was a high prediction there. Everyone loves her, even though she's technically a heel. I remember when she changed from face to heel, I'm like, I don't know how this is
Explain
working.
what the difference between face and a heel is.
So a heel is a bad guy, and babyface is a good And let's say like John Cena, everyone knows him. He started off as a babyface. He had no character identity. This is before You Can't See Me. So he was a bad guy for a while. But once he came back to being the hero, the good guy, they never let him go back to being the bad, because it wasn't as believable. Bailey's one of those, like, the crowd dictates how big you get and how behind, whether you're good, bad. Even her as a bad guy, they barely boo her. They love her because her personality. By the way, she's a Niners fan, so
yeah, she is. She's tight with George Kittle.
Yeah, so she's had a big weekend. But when you watch her, it's like she's just always like full of life, and that's just who she is. When they interview her and all that.
Well, to me, she's the face of Damage Control.
Yeah,
Damage Control is Bailey, and then a bunch of women from Japan who don't speak English, essentially.
And I mean, she's just the light of that group. So I think everybody wanted her to, but I think it just felt like that makes the most for the storyline right now.
I was trying to be different, and I chose Becky Lynch.
She was going to be my second close, and Becky's won. I think Becky has won a Royal Rumble. I don't think.
You know why
Bayley.
I chose Beck? I chose her because Seth Rollins is my favorite wrestler, and he tore his MCL, and I was like, well, if I can't cheer on Seth, I guess I'm going to have to cheer on Beck.
Well, we still may get her. She could win an Elimination Chamber. We'll see what happens there.
That's in Australia at the end of February, by the way.
Which is going to be Rhea Ripley there. It has to be. She's from Adelaide, the women's champion. But I think Beck was my close second. It was going to be one or the other, but I had just seeing like Bailey, the aura was there. It's interesting they had her call out Rhea, because I thought, what if she went after her teammate Io Sky? We've seen that.
Yeah, we've seen. Yeah.
But are they willing to bring her to Raw and make her face? That's the thing.
Yeah, I have a hard time with Rhea losing. Like, I don't think she's going to lose for a while. I think Bailey makes it an interesting wrinkle, but Rhea's just such a fan favorite.
Well, the one thing WWE's doing storyline used to, almost whoever won the Royal Rumble won at WrestleMania, and we saw last year Cody for a lot. I mean, every year.
Yeah, but they wanted to keep Roman's record intact.
Well, but even
that
2000, The Rock won the Royal Rumble and lost in a fatal four-way Triple H. So every now and then, but now it's not that it's going to be 100% guaranteed. So it still could be Bailey and Rhea can keep. But I think having her have the title back would be good.
Are you impressed, by the way?
Yeah, no, you did it. I mean, that is good. Well, and then the one match I wasn't, in my opinion, the biggest fan of. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't understand why it was number 2, but that is the Universal title. Very predictable, of course. Interference. How a fatal four-way works.
You're talking about the fatal four-way?
Yeah.
Okay, go into detail.
Yeah, so it's 4 people, you can, anybody can give it pinned. So if you're walking in as the champion, you can still lose your belt even if you don't get pinned. Well, the thing with Roman Reigns, this irritates me a little bit because I grew up in the Hulk Hogan era. That's what got me. Super Saturday. Hogan has one of the longest, and he was always active. Never had interference. They made him like this is a superhero. He's another guy they never would make a bad guy at that time. Roman has the same physique, the same power. I mean, this guy played college football.
He is so hot.
He was, I'm not going to add that.
Help, he's hot.
You need a drink. We don't have any more drinks.
Yeah, we're empty, but he's so freaking hot.
I won't come on to that, but he is a great athlete. But every time, the last couple of years, as a heel, he has outside interference. So it is very predictable. And we know he's going to be WrestleMania.
Yeah, when they brought in Solo, I was like,
it's the same
major eye
thing.
roll. Yeah.
I wouldn't have minded him and Randy together because I would have loved that showdown, but it was just kind of floppy, I felt.
Floppy?
It wasn't. I mean, actually, they all beat up on Roman, and he just hides there. And, and you'll see guys or women hide in the corner. Usually when that dude, they're waiting for their spot, their moment where they're going to interact. And he was just hanging out most of the time. And I was like...
Well, that's Roman.
And that was predictable. Everyone thought that was going to happen pretty much. So I just didn't understand why it wasn't the co-main. Because then the new Logan Paul.
Okay, yeah, the Logan Paul, Brass Knuckles, Kevin Owens.
That was predictable too.
I knew Logan was going to win. I didn't like how he won. And full disclosure, Jamie, who is watching us tonight, was with me, and our other girlfriend, Edna. Jamie and Edna don't watch WWE.
Yeah.
So I'm literally in their ears explaining to them what's going on to the best of my knowledge, being that I'm like still new to this sports entertainment sphere. And when that happened, I had no words for them. I was like, I just hate this. I'm like, there are no like tangible rules, and like he got slid brass knuckles, but then didn't actually use them and slid them on Kevin Owens. How did Kevin Owens not know that was coming? I don't know. That rubbed me entirely the wrong way. Like, I could have gone through that night without the Fatal 4-Way and without the Logan Paul fight. And I understand why they did the Logan Paul fight. I know he's, like, the biggest deal right now. I also don't know why they chose Kevin Owens for his match, but whatever.
They wanted him to get roughed up, but the only problem I have with that, because, you know, Kevin's character is this prize fighter, this brawler. But if you're
he's Canadian like me.
But if you're bringing up Logan Paul, like if you want to get him, because he just signed a full-time contract, so
right.
Which means those boxing stuff, that's out. When you go full-time, and
he is the U.S. champ.
Well, he's very athletic. I would have had it been a little bit more 50-50, like just to build up. Okay, you're here with a veteran. Like, I mean, obviously with Seth Rollins, it was a 50-50 match. I mean. They just made him get beat around, and it makes him look inferior, and then he loses disqualification. To me, that just seemed like a cop-out. I want to see, actually, if you're having Logan win, like really see a good Logan Paul, because I want to build him up for WrestleMania. Say, okay, he's the champ, but he's going to win beyond. This is the Logan that we see in the boxing ring, right? I want to see that. I want to see him be this cocky, like, hey, I'm athletic, former high school wrestler, not just get torn around and then he gets interference, because he's too athletic for that.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Let's get into the men's.
The men's.
So for me, the fact that it led off with Jey Uso made my day.
I love Jey.
I think for me that was my personal highlight, that you went Jey and then Jimmy back to back.
Yeah.
I in fact called that, by the way. I'm like standing there as the countdown is going. I'm like, how funny would it be if Jimmy Uso comes out next? And there he is, and I'm like, wow, I am watching this stuff way too much.
Well, I think that's a WrestleMania tease, because last summer at Money in the Bank they talked in an interview like they've always wanted to verse each other, have their dad Rikishi come out and ref.
That's what the guys kept saying.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Rikishi's got to be here. Rikishi's got to be here, and I'm like, probably not, but we'll see. That'd be great for WrestleMania.
But that was always the goal, and since they're both on different brands, right now is the best time. We really haven't had, like, outside of Matt, the Hardys, like real actual brothers, like Kane and Andre aren't related, but they had their WrestleMania moments. So I would love to see the Usos. They're so athletic. They're so funny.
Yes,
you know.
It's comical. You know, I kept watching Jey Uso, and I really thought he was going to get the record for the longest time in the ring. But he just kept taking naps on the side.
He was just hiding in the corner. That's what they
literally. I was like,
just chilling.
I don't like that, but okay.
Well, and then you know, one thing is big surprise change last minute. Brock Lesnar. You know, we won't get into the allegations.
We don't need to. No.
But he backed out of the Royal Rumble. So Braun Breaker, who's on NXT, whose dad is Rick Steiner, famous, his uncle Scott Steiner. You want to talk about muscle? Got the call up. He might be on the. I like Braun.
He got most eliminations.
Yes, because that's probably what Brock's spot was going to be, which. Braun is just like his dad and uncle. Like, he's a beast, former football player, spears everybody.
You know who I liked a lot that I'd seen a couple times?
R-Truth?
No.
I love R-Truth.
No, he's annoying. Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah.
Carmelo Hayes came in at like number 5, I want to say.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed watching him. I know he got eliminated like maybe 10, 15 minutes in, but I enjoyed him a lot.
I want to see him on the main roster fully.
I do too.
It's about time.
And then, you know, you had your back 5 fighters. We were waiting for some sort of surprise. Nothing.
Yeah.
It was very basic, very like, all right, predictable. I mean, I don't know if there was much they could do with everything going on, but tell me this. My pick for the Men's Royal Rumble was actually CM Punk. Just to be different.
That was like, I think that's a good safe. That's like the Becky Lynch pick. Like, everyone is like, it's either going to be Cody. I thought it was going to be Cody. I think they've put out little rumors that he wasn't, that his story. But yeah, because everyone expects it, you know. Because just real quick, I heard this on a podcast with former wrestlers. They're like, what happened to him last year is what happened to John Cena at WrestleMania 28, where he loses to The Rock. So they put him on hard times. He has to go through all these hardships. Then he won the 2013 Royal Rumble and won. And so I think he's on that same path. So I'm not surprised by it. But CM Punk was going to be my close second, because he's never won a Royal Rumble.
Well, I wanted CM Punk. It was the 10-year anniversary from the last time he was on a WWE pay-per-view, right? And then he's got that jawing back and forth with Seth. But looks like CM Punk is going to be out for a while.
Yeah, injury, torn pec or torn tricep. So we'll see the timeline. We'll see what they do with WrestleMania. But just
so heartbreaking.
I know. But
we just got him back.
But real quick, Cody Rhodes again, back to back. I'm
Royal
interested to
Rumble
see.
Wins. I think it's just going to be the same shit, different day.
I think it would be bad. We'll talk about it closer to WrestleMania, but I have a feeling it's going to go the opposite of that. But we want to thank you guys. Thank you again, Mina, for having us. Like I said, next week's the Super Bowl show
Super Bowl
at Over Under.
At Over Under, lots of shots, lots of takes.
So stop by over there.
Yeah, come drink with us. We'll buy you a shot, whatever. It'll be so much fun.
And you can buy us a shot now.
Get in on the action yourselves. I think that'd be fun. I think we'll put out some polls. We'll do some cool stuff for Super Bowl Sunday. Again, follow us on pouringtakes.com, all of our socials, subscribe to our channels, and we will see you next week.
Have a good one.
Oh my God.